And my first interview, first book, very excited and all that, cameras on, and the guy tells me, oh, what a nice, lovely book, what an ugly cover. And then they call me that next day and say that we can't use that cover because there's some issue with the designer, and I literally fall off my chair. The book is, once you read it, it has a very visual experience to it, a lot of colors, a lot of texture. So hence we decided on this cover. You know, my parents are going to kill me.
But that's what you said, right?
No, I didn't say parents. I said my family, my close family. I'm not trying to be very specific here. Those pessimistic days are the days where I say the government is not working, the banks don't work, my kitchen is not working, my career is not happening the way I want. I read somewhere, which is very true, that writers are very good liars, number one. So the thing that I present to you, an emotion, it's basically this entire imagination. If you were to see from a perspective of a layman, it's all a lie. This journey has been very, very, very special to me as a person, as a woman, as an individual. And the things that my key character, the emotions that she's going through, I get inspired by people that I meet every day, be it my help, be it their children, be it somebody I saw on TV. It's just, you know, the universe is open. We are liars, cheaters and stealers. We do all this to make a believable world, to give something beautiful back to our readers.
Kanika, thank you so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have you on the show for the first time.
Thank you so much, Hemant. I'm looking forward to having a good chat with you.
Okay, now you're scaring me. Right. So, everybody is talking about your new book. By the way, she's written her third book now. It's called
The Dance of Durga.
Dance of Durga. And it's about a Godwoman, I'm told. So, we're going to talk a lot more about what the book is about and her thoughts behind writing this book. Interesting cover, Kanika. So, can you tell us more about it? Like, what is it that we're looking at?
So basically, you know, this is my third book, and usually I always have a cover story, like cover story for my book, because since my first book, I wrote the book, and to my horror, I realized that writing a book is one thing, but finding the correct cover and convincing the publisher that, you know, this is the cover that we should go for is another battle altogether. So I remember for Bombay Duck is a Fish, you know, 28 cover designs we tried out, nothing worked. And finally my publishers are calling me, Westland published it, then they said we have to go in 2 days to press. So choose either what you have or we have no cover. So then I remember we were shooting for Ravan then, so I called I called Sabu sir's assistant. I said, please, he was good at graphic designing and all that. So I said, please, Rupin his name. I said, Rupin, come up with a cover overnight. And poor thing, he worked very hard through the night, and next morning he gave me a cover. I loved it. So happy that, you know, I've got this perfect cover. The publishers loved it and the cover was up there. And then after the book came out, I was called for this interview on NDTV, and my first interview, first book, very excited and all that, cameras on, and the guy tells me, oh, what a nice, lovely book, what an ugly cover. So I'm like, so, you know, you don't know what to say, and in my head I've just worked so hard and it's been so beautiful and all that. So next time around I decided I'm going to work extra hard on my cover for the next book, that, you know, I don't, because there are lots of other people who had a very extreme opinion about my first book cover. So then came Shiva, and again the same story. I think I have that cover of my book and me have that karma. So last minute the publisher is like, you know, we have to finalize the cover. So anyway, that happened. We got the cover. I looked at it and I'm like, my third book, the cover is going to be something I'm going to be very satisfied with. And then came Durga. And this time, we are working together towards the cover. I've already told the publishers. HarperCollins has published this book. So I was working very closely with them, and everything was on track. And we found a cover which was beautiful. And they loved it. I loved it. And they told me it's going to go for press. And I said, okay, I'm going to go break a coconut this time. But the cover is really good. And then they call me that next day and say that we can't use that cover because there's some issue with the designer. And I literally fall off my chair. And now, guess what? There are 3 days that the book has to go to press, and I have to choose. So I'm like, I'm going to give up this whole cover thing. I said, I'm not going to focus on it anymore. So chose from one of the covers that we'd initially shortlisted, and that's the story of this cover. But I quite like it now. Actually, in retrospect, I like the cover.
What does it signify? Can you
see? Basically, this is about the story is about a girl called Rajjo, who's come from a rural village in Punjab, and it charts out her journey as a woman. And you'll see her when you read the book. You'll see her in all avatars. Passionate avatars of a woman, hence it's called the Dance of Durga. Be it a lover, be it a sister, be it a daughter, be it a bhakt, a devotee, be it a non-believer. So she's very passionate in everything that she does, and it's almost like a dance of sorts, an emotional journey. So I wanted to have a cover that depicts that strength, and at the same time that journey of this woman, hence the Dance of Durga. And even in the visual, because I'm told that the book is, once you read it, it has a very visual experience to it, a lot of colors, a lot of texture. So hence we decided on this cover, which I think symbolizes everything that I'm telling you. Don't laugh, because I think this cover is very good and I'm going to stick to that.
Great. Right. Now let's get started about the book itself.
Okay.
I was reading one of your recent interviews where you said that the story is sort of inspired from your own experiences as a child, when you saw your parents trusting a, what was it, juice product?
My parents are going to kill me.
But that's what you said, right?
No, I didn't say parents. I said my family, my close family. I'm not trying to be very specific here. That juice packet is going to come right back on my face. Okay, no, but basically, the book is not based on my personal experiences per se. What I was trying to say in that interview was that I have drawn from the things that I see in the society, the things that I'm seeing, the precedences that I'm seeing in my family, extended family, friends, that they're all very rational, educated people. But when it comes to faith, there's a complete surrender of rationality. Right. And I remember that particular incident I was talking about. I remember opening my fridge back home in Amritsar, and I suddenly see this juice by a particular godman, and I think a ketchup or some kind of products, and I'm like, why am I having this? So then, of course, I went to my mother, and she's like, yeah, because she follows that guru and believes in the way of life that is propagated. And I wanted to have that conversation. I sat down and spoke. We sat down for an hour or so, and I understood that there is nothing to understand in this because there's no rational conversation happening. So that was where the seed of this whole idea came, examining this faith, which is so steadfast, conquers all kind of rationality. There's no logic to it, but it's very true. It's very there, and it kind of is steering people. People are following that belief and going ahead in life. So it was a very important aspect of their lives. And I wanted to understand that. I wanted to understand what is this phenomena called faith, what makes it this blind faith, and how people who usually use logical thinking completely surrender to it as an emotion. So the thought germinated from that one particular incident per se, that I need to write about this. Having said that, the entire book is not just centered on this aspect of faith. The book is actually about this woman's journey, where again, when I was talking in that interview, I told them that I've set it in Punjab because I grew up in a village. Like I have a village in Khancourt, and you know the railway tracks, the canal, the bridge. I used to hang out with my cousins next to the railway tracks and used to have those conversations. So those are very special, precious memories. So I have taken my character and started off from there. I have started off because that's very personal and that's very real. That world is very real to me. So I have set the beginning and the roots of this character to something that I relate to emotionally and know up close and personal. But thereafter, the story takes off on its own. The character takes off on its own. Then I have taken a back seat, and it's the character that has really driven the story. And from here, how she's a bhakt, she's a devotee because her mother is a bhakt, and how she tragedy strikes, gets married to an older man, is abused, finds solace in an ashram, and she says that she believes that God is a sham, and her ultimate revenge is going to be that she's going to sell him in the marketplace, right. And she's going to make money by selling him, and that is the ultimate revenge. And as luck would have it, she not luck really, she actually it's a very political game that she plays, and she emotional and political game, and she's a grey character in that sense. She's very fractured, she's very vulnerable, yet you root for her. So how she reaches the top of that game and becomes the star of this God business, right. And then as destiny and as life would have it, she falls in love. But again, her love is not that perfect love that that our society would say that this is how love should be, because Rajjo as a character does not really follow the society norms. She does not really even say it is love. She will not categorize it into good or bad. She'll go with her emotion. So this guy is married, has a wife, but this is the love that she has been waiting for all her life. So again, the character finds herself in a place where you have to suspend the rights and the wrongs and the society, the bounds that society puts on us, and how she'll maneuver all this, be true to her emotions and move forward. So now she's fallen in love, and again destiny has brought her to a point where she has to choose what her life and path is going to be. And how basically the whole thing of faith and how whole revenge that she's taken on God, how it turns on her head, and now she has to find that Rajjo again. Now she's become this Godwoman called Durga, and now she has to break all that, and she has to start from find that starting point. So that is the full journey of this character, and her finding faith basically makes the mainstay of the story.
Now I understand that writing a book is a process of self-discovery, like some would say. I'll come back to that question a little later, but let's talk about faith first. If having faith in somebody or something, right, makes a person happy, so why would anybody question that? Like, why should I believe in it? Did you find that out?
No, that's what I'm trying to, exactly, that's the same thing I'm trying to tell through this story, because she says that, she discovers rather, and that we all will at some point in our life, that, you can place your faith in a stone deity, you can place your faith in a string of thread, you can place your faith in a person. These 3-4 things, these symbols can be fractured, they can be manipulative, they can be wrong. But that extreme surrender and that devotion and that emotion is always true.
True.
So that is what the realization of this character has to be.
Okay.
And that is her life journey. Because when you see her in the beginning, she questions faith in totality. Because life has been cruel, and we all do this at some point of time. I have done it. During while I was writing the story, my father passed away, and I was in a very disturbed state of mind, and I was questioning all these things. I was questioning faith, I was questioning God, and I think all of us at some point or the other will question this very inherent belief, and so does this character. But the only thing is how you deal with it.
Okay.
So she goes to a very extreme extent of, she goes into a very revengeful path.
Right.
But I guess everybody has a path to follow. So she had to go through those extreme emotions to actually come back to an understanding of what faith is. It's actually a very light, it's very strong, yet it's you can't really hold it, you can't really, describe it. It's something very non-tangible, which you have to feel deep within. So that is her journey.
If I were to ask you personally, what is it that you have faith in, what would your answer be?
My faith now, so as I was growing up, my faith, the object of my faith changed, as it is true for every human being. First, for me, it was very important to go to the temple every day. That was faith for me. Then, very important to say my prayers twice a day. That was faith for me. So eventually, it evolved to actually just sitting in my room and thanking the universe, not going anywhere else, is also faith for me. So my definition of faith as an individual has changed over the years as I am growing. And also it's a very personal journey. It's a very personal journey, and that journey is different for each individual, and it's actually a very beautiful journey. Can be painful to some extent, can be very disruptive because you're questioning your core belief system. And we come from a society, we, as a traditional society, we as kids, we watch our parents believe in God, goddesses, pujas. This is our culture, and we are conditioned to following a set of rules, a set of rituals, and this is what binds our faith together, because we are conditioned to it. Our faith is bound in these rituals. But now I feel that as I grow older, I feel that it doesn't really lie in all these things. It's somewhere beyond the reach of rituals and customs and something which is external. So that is what this book also explores. And apart from faith, which is intangible, what it also touches upon is these very important relationships, interpersonal relationships, like a sister and sibling relationship, which in our society again is very sacrosanct. But it's considered sacrosanct, but if you just dig deeper, you'll see that there's so much angst, there's so much anger, there's so much, there's a sense of, again, betrayal, and this sense of, there's a lot of darkness in these relationships also, which Rajjo feels towards her siblings and gets from them. So I've explored relationships that so far have not really been, they have been projected in a way, but they are fractured. And in that sense, I would say that the Dance of Durga is a very naked story. It's not clothing any relationship or covering it in a very sweet, presentable form. It's very raw, it's disturbing, and it redefines the status quo. Like I said, like a sibling relationship, even a mother-daughter relationship, right. Romance, for example, the whole definition of true love, what it could be. She's in love with a married man, and how as a society are we going to react to that, deal with it, empathize, sympathize? What is it that our reaction is going to be? So she is the other woman in her own story. So, so I feel that this story, apart from being about faith, is also about human emotions, and in a very naked form.
As a person, how do you categorize yourself? Are you a very optimistic person, pessimistic person? What is it like?
I have days when I'm very pessimistic, and those are the difficult days. Nothing works. Those pessimistic days are the days where I say the government is not working, the banks don't work, my kitchen is not working, my career is not happening the way I want. So everything is like a dark cloud, and I'm like this not very happy person to be around. I can really drive you crazy.
Okay.
So I have those days. No, this is not that kind of a day. But then there are days where I'm very optimistic, where people around me have to tell me, you know what, just slightly tone down your optimism. So I would say that I swing both ways.
When do you write though? Do you write when you're pessimistic as well? Or is
I
it
need
only
both. I need both those. I need my optimism to write, and I need my pessimism to write. Because if I'm only writing with a very optimistic point of view, I feel like it's not very balanced. And if I'm only cynical in writing, I think you all will hate me. So, I feel I draw from both optimism and being a pessimistic, because I think both together form a good balance.
Right. Now, I'm sure a lot of writers would relate to this, and as someone who is really interested in that craft of writing, how do you ensure that you don't dig deep into your dark side, when you write?
I want to dig deep into my dark side. Why would I not want to?
Because doesn't it scare you, because you're getting in a very vulnerable state, I'm guessing that you might spill out a secret which you never wanted to share. It might find its way into your writing somehow. Has that ever happened to you?
There are 2-3 ways. We as writers, we're very clever people.
Okay.
What we do, we have a lot of, we draw from a lot of things. Like, I'll tell you, for example, I read somewhere, which is very true, that writers are very good liars, number one.
Okay.
So, the thing that I present to you, an emotion, it's basically this entire imagination. If you were to see from a perspective of a layman, it's all a lie. So I have to make you believe that this is the truth.
Right.
So in the same vein, when I'm talking about an emotion, when I'm writing about a character going through something very personal and that sense of loss, I have to make it mine. And there are times when you feel it, that when you get exhausted. So we are actually living those lies.
Right.
So that is one way to look at it. And in explaining this, I've forgotten my question. What was the question?
How do you ensure that you don't dig deep into your dark side?
Exactly. So one thing is this, which you will go, you will personalize that emotion, and then you will throw it back out. And the other thing, digging deeper into your own emotions, I think it's very good. I think it's very healthy.
Okay.
Because I feel that, like I was telling you, that I was going through a very difficult time while I was writing this novel personally. And there were a lot of extreme, like I got married while I was writing this novel, a complete change of city, family, a huge loss. So a lot of changes were happening in me and in my life while I was penning this down. And I felt that, that deep unrest actually really helped me bring this character out. And not only that, I also feel that it was in a way a catharsis of sorts, that where you cannot have an outburst,
right,
a physical outburst or a violent outburst, it's actually channeled beautifully into words and into a silent world. So I think for me, that's why this book is extremely special, because I have emotionally invested in this a lot more, and this journey has been very, very, very special to me as a person, as a woman, as an individual. And the things that my key character, the emotions that she's going through, the unrest that she's going through, I have felt very closely too. So like for me, it has been really, all these things that I've been taught, like the questioning faith,
okay, right,
loss, just trying to understand, because when there's a loss, a very personal loss, the first reaction is that you tend to question everything around you, question your way of life. So and I went through that phase as well, and I think that really helped me in drawing out this character and her emotional path.
Have you ever questioned what is your place in this universe? What is your goal?
I'll tell you strangely, I still remember when I was in Amritsar, there used to be this temple across the school, and after every after school I would go and sit there. Okay. It was really funny and uncool, because first I used to be a geek with specs, with my braces to the T. I was like this geek in school. Was the head girl, head of debates, this, that. No time for hanging out. I was not the cool kid at all. So you would not want to.
Cool.
Now it's the new cool, but trust me, you wouldn't. When I was in high school, nobody wanted to be me in that sense, because I was really, really boring. And my interest levels in a lot of extracurricular activities were, I did not like to party, I didn't like to, and I miss that thing now. I wish I would have done that then. But I was really boring, and I was really content in my bored existence. But there was one thing that, and why I was so bored at that time, I remember in my school days, was that there was nothing which was driving me. I had no passion, I had no desire to, to why am I here? So there was nothing defined. So I would sit there and I would actually question that what is it that I'm supposed to do here? So thankfully, I'm very grateful that that question came to me then. Of course, a lot of people thought I was lunatic. That, if I would discuss it with my friends, and they would be like, we don't want to hang out with her because she's asking strange questions. But I'm so glad that those questions came to me then, because that's when I realized that, I really enjoy this. Writing is a form of self-expression which not only I enjoy, but it also is very important to me as a person. And this is something that gave me a lot of, that defined my journey in a way. And I'm so glad that I found this medium of expression. And after that, once I had discovered this is what I want to do, those questions of why am I here ceased to haunt my soul.
You found a purpose.
I found a purpose. Right. I feel that, finding a purpose, finding that burning desire is very important to justify your existence, at least for people who are looking for those answers.
When did you get this, how do I put it, enlightenment? Which class was this?
Enlightenment, oh God.
No, you said after school you would go to the temple, right?
So that trauma of sitting there in the temple went on for 3-4 years. It's not that it just came like I was sitting under a tree and I'd get enlightened. But there was not one day when I realized that this is what I want to do, or the enlightenment didn't come.
When you were about 15 to 17 years old?
Yeah, I was writing since I was the age of 12 actually.
Okay.
But the fact that I wanted to do this would be around 15.
It's a long time.
Yeah, 14 or 15.
Right. Say. Now, I also believe that you had the habit of daydreaming a lot when you were studying in St. Stephen's, going to the Belpuri Bandi and...
Who have you been talking to?
I read a lot. So
yeah.
What were you daydreaming about back then? This was your college
I'm telling
days.
you, I can completely zone out, and I can start thinking about a story. Forget college. If I'm supposed to go from point A to point B for work, and I'm driving, and I used to drive for some time in Bombay, I used to be driving outside of Bombay also. I wouldn't realize that I have gone to this way or that, and my mother said, you're dangerous. Not only because you can't drive properly, but you don't even know where are you ending up, so you have to stop driving. So imagine if I can zone out on Mumbai roads where the traffic can kill you. College is a piece of cakewalk. But yes, I do zone out a lot. If I get an interesting idea, it takes, and if it's taken root in my mind, nothing can take me away from that. So I start thinking about it, enjoying, and discovering more. So I do disconnect a little bit from my immediate environment,
okay,
which means that you should not trust me as a driver, and in any other area of life where you need to, I'm responsible for your life and safety.
Does Prakash know about this?
Prakash knows very well. He knows very well. Now he's been telling me, now at least you try and drive. I said, my father banned me from driving for a reason. There's a big reason for that.
You're not allowed to drive at home?
My father would not let me touch the car after, because it was not, because he said not for your safety, but for the people on the road, I will not let you drive. So I had to give up driving, and ever since I haven't really driven.
So when you zone out and think about whatever these ideas, I'm assuming that a lot of them are stories which probably end up as...
They're only stories, see, actually the stories that actually come out, be it a film script or be it a novel, there are like 100 dead stories, and then this one story comes alive.
Right.
So you have to go through that graveyard of ideas and characters and interesting one-lines that you've left behind, and out of that, maybe, because the idea has to really attract you, because you are going to spend 2 years of your life living, nurturing it and making it come alive. So it has to be an equal attraction in that sense. So so while I'm zoning out, I'm actually, there's a lot to think, because out of that will come that one idea that you want to give your heart and soul to, and you want to nurture it and then bring it out in the world.
So what is the difference between a good idea and a not so exciting idea? Is it something which really makes you want to write again, or?
You know, what is a good idea and what is a bad idea? There are two ways to look at it. One is an external validation, perhaps from a source that you trust, that you think. But a lot of us rely on that, but I use that at a later stage, because I feel that first I need that validation from my own self, that, you know, will I be interested in putting 2 years of my life into this idea. For example, after Bombay Duck came out, I was floored with the offers by all the key publishing houses, because Bombay Duck did really well. So they wanted me to come out with another Bombay Duck. Okay. And you know how it is, you're young, it's a bestseller, you know, everybody's coming and offering you a book deal, so you would want to pick up, you know, and write another funny story and all that. So I went down that path really, and then after writing 2 chapters, it's just me and the computer, I'm so bored. Okay. And you know, and it's just dead. And I know that I'm forcing myself to do it, and it's, so you know it, instinctively you'll know that, you know, it's really dead and there's nothing in there. So the chapter was closed, and I told them, you know, I can't do it, I need to do something different. Which is the interview you must have read, that, you know, lots of people are telling me, you know, it's a career suicide, doing a teenage fiction, schizophrenia, you'll be called schizophrenic. You know, what is it that you would want to write? Is the first litmus test. What is it that you would want to see through for 2 years is the second litmus, because you will abandon so many of them half developed. So I have these half written scripts, half written books that you've just not gone back to.
So and what happens to them? You just leave them behind?
They just die peacefully until, you know, something happens, and, you know, I haven't really gotten back to any one of them really. After this interview, maybe I'll just go open my laptop.
That must be a really big graveyard.
That is a huge graveyard. Yes, yes it is. And I like to believe there's some pearls hidden that need to be discovered. But yeah, there are a lot of stories that, you know, that we kind of just dismiss, and they just don't inspire you enough to write.
As a writer, what do you think? Do ideas age well, or they're just there for the moment and then they fizzle out?
You know, I believe that definitely ideas do age well. Definitely, because, you know, if I'll talk about it from 2 perspectives. One is that this is an idea, and I feel at that point in time that it's fantastic and I love it. And then if you give it time and you come back to it, there's so much more time, distance and perspective that one has gained, that you build on it, and maybe you'll give it a different color. Okay. So I feel that not only the idea, you as a person also will age well and contribute to that, the existence of this particular idea. In fact, that's the reason why I make it a practice that I write 2 stories at the same time, a film script and a book, like you must have read. That I like to give that distance, I like to take that perspective. The time duration may not be as much. I may not be able to go back for 1 year and age another year and come back, no. But definitely the emotional ground that I've covered, writing another story versus and coming back, I'd like to say, gives me a little distance and perspective.
Right. Now, I remember back in 2011, 2012, you wanted to write a story about a Pakistani girl whom you met in London.
What have you been reading? I want to know what he's reading. Where is he reading all this? Okay.
I almost thought it was Malala, but I'm not sure. You should tell me this.
You know, I don't know if I can take her name because ultimately, because her family objected very, you know, forcefully that they do not want the story to come out. So I don't think I can take any names. Right. It's not Malala for sure. It was a very beautiful girl that I met when I was shooting for Ravan in London, and she was a part of the crew there, and she's based out of London, and her story completely blew me over, and I wanted to desperately write, and that's one story that is hidden in that graveyard that I really want to tell, if of course I have the required permissions. But
it need not be an autobiography, right? Or
it was it was her story of when in London, you'll see, because I studied there and I had a lot of friends who were from Pakistan, it's a very interesting society and a very different world. And this particular girl's journey from one small town in Pakistan to struggling her way and coming to London is just spectacular.
Okay.
It includes fighting with the embassy, legal aid, personal sacrifices, and she's a rebel. Right. And it was a beautiful, I think it was a story of human courage and spirit. And in fact, she's married an Indian guy now, and she just doesn't stop surprising her parents. And I wish I can tell that story someday.
Do you always keep looking out for inspiration, or does it just hit you from out of nowhere?
Absolutely, every day.
Every day?
Every day. I need inspiration every day.
Okay.
Or I would say I search for it more than need. I search for it, and I feel that it's so important, not only as a writer, firstly as a human being, to have a fruitful existence. I think it's very important to be inspired. Secondly, as an artist, be it a writer, be it an actor, anyone in the creative field, I think you just wither and die if there's no inspiration. So, and it can come from any quarter. It doesn't have to be a particular story, or it doesn't have to be fiction, it doesn't have to be art. I get inspired by people that I meet every day, be it my help, be it their children, be it somebody I saw on TV. It's just, the universe is open. It's just what you connect with and what inspires you.
You're almost like a mind reader, man. You meet somebody and you're trying to figure out what is their backstory.
I wish I was a mind reader. I wish I was a mind reader. Prakash won't like that, but I wish I was a mind reader.
You're not?
I'd love to. I don't think so.
But you're trying to concoct a story, right? Like you just met a person and you're wondering, where does this person come from?
If I tell you the stories that I make in my head about a person I meet, people will stop meeting me. Number one. Number two, yes, I do have the tendency to, if I'm meeting someone for the first time, suddenly there'll be a bubble on the top of my head.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'll want to, put the story around that person, that, what do they do, where do they come from, personal life, suddenly the universe has to build.
And then you zone
And
out.
sometimes it just pops, sometimes I'm so wrong and so many faux pas, and sometimes, I'm really right too. So, but it's a very, I'm totally sounding like a lunatic here. But I guess lots of us do that, don't we? Yeah. But I guess, as a writer, your brain is so conditioned to anything interesting that you find about any person. You want to just, apart from being liars, we're also grabbers, I think, writers, I'm sure the writing fraternity is not going to be very happy.
Steal but I feel, of things from people. Right?
I think we steal quietly, we steal emotions, we steal expressions, we steal their, dreams, and we are liars, cheaters and stealers. But I think towards a good end.
Yeah.
Because, we do all this to make a believable world, to give something beautiful back to our readers. Hope, inspiration, faith, whatever it is.
Right. Earlier in the interview, I was going to ask you a question which we stopped at.
You still remember that interview?
Yes.
That interview question after so much of my rambling?
It almost feels like reading a book, stream of consciousness. And it's interesting, trust me on that.
What feels like reading a book, like while I'm talking, you're saying? Oh, lovely, thank you. I should smile at that. Okay.
The question was, the process of writing must have been a process of self-discovery for you. So while writing this Dance of Durga, what is it that you've understood about yourself, about your own personality?
That's a good question. And I hoped nobody would ask me that, now that you have asked. There was a point in the story, in fact, I think I mentioned it before also, that, I reached halfway where Rajjo had become Durga.
Okay.
And the scale at which she was living her life, the scale of emotions, the scale of drama had come to a zenith. she had everything that she wanted. And then I didn't know, it had gone into almost a surreal existence. And then I had to make this person real again. And I had to take her through very extreme incidents and extreme emotions to kind of bring her back in. And while I was putting Rajjo, who was Durga now, through these extremities, I realized that, when I have a perception of me as a person, if you were to ask me, Kanika, what would you do if this would happen? And I would say that, I think this is what I'm going to do. I realized that, next time if somebody asks me, I'm never going to answer that, because you really don't know who you really are till you go through that particular emotion or that extreme situation. Right. And I feel that we all think we know ourselves, but I think this entire journey is about getting to know your own self, because you cannot really, I don't think people outside are unpredictable. I think within yourself, you're the most unpredictable entity that you will ever know. Because mostly when we live our lives, secure, happy lives, we are not pushed into extreme corners. We are not pushed into situations that we have no control over, which are scary. So thankfully, we are not pushed into those corners. But while writing this novel, I thought and I deliberated on times when, what if I was pushed in those corners? Would I react the way I think I will, or would I emerge as a different person altogether? And I really didn't have any clear answer, which was very scary, disturbing. At the same time, that is the whole point, right?
No, I'm sure a lot of aspiring writers would want to know this, right? Now, you published your third book now. I understand that. I hope that you have figured out what is it takes to write a book now, right? A lot of people...
I'm still figuring it out.
Seriously?
Somebody asked me, so when was it that you knew that the book was ready? Oh. I said, till I got 5th threatening call from my publisher saying, let that book go, else it's not coming out. That book was not ready for me.
Okay. So, what is it that you're looking for when you say it's not ready?
We as writers are all very insecure people.
Oh, you're gonna always think whether people like it or not?
No, I'll tell you, what it is. I won't say for all writers. I feel that as a writer, when the day I'm supposed to hand in my deadline, that novel or be a film script or whatever, I get extremely insecure. Yeah. And I just feel everything is not working, it's crap. And that is the pessimistic me. And then eventually the threatening call or my publisher saying not so nice things and saying that we are not going to go ahead with it if you're not going to give us the book. Like with Durga, I missed around 6 deadlines. Okay. 6 deadlines, and I thought they were going to drop me and they're going to never...
Is that a lot? 6?
That's a lot. Okay. I usually don't miss deadlines. Okay. And I missed 6 on this one. And they were very patient with me, thank you. But it took a while for me to let go of the novel. But I think that that's the thing where you say that, okay, it's done. Now it's done. My work is done. You can never say that because you can always better it. Yeah. Because now when I read the book, I'll say, oh, I should have, this could have been better, this could have been better, that could have been better. So I think you never know when the story is really done. I've again forgotten the question that you asked me.
No, I didn't complete the question because you
okay, I cut you in. Okay, no wonder I'm wondering what is the question that I'm answering.
The question was, now, as an aspiring writer myself, I'm curious to know, right? Do stories write themselves, or is it you trying to figure out how do you take that story from point A to point B to come to its logical ending?
That's a very good question. Again, in my experience, I've had both. Okay. When the character becomes very strong, like first half of Durga, I felt I created those. I was in control. I genuinely felt I was in control of the first half of this novel. Second half, it was completely out of my control. I felt that the character and me together, the character and the creator together, we had to discover a lot of things, and we did it together. So it actually depends on how strong your character is, or which way you want it to go, or it also depends on if you want to keep control and you have a very clear idea of this is my story, this is the tone, this is the beginning, middle, end, and you have a very controlled, created a very controlled environment, then of course you are the driving point.
Right.
But it's a very personal choice as a writer, and writers have that choice. I mean, would you want to lose control and surrender to your character and then see how the character discovers its own journey, relationships, etc., or would you want to be in control? And you know, you literally play God when you're writing. You're literally creating and you're playing God. It's like the most scary thing and the most beautiful thing, actually. So I use a mix of both depending on what is the story that I'm writing. In fact, when I'm writing screenplays, I feel that my characters drive the story a lot, because I write my own dialogues, and I discover my story through dialogues a lot more than I discover it through a particular story point or through screenplay. So it depends on what is it that you're writing, and how strong your character is, or what is the end product that you want, or what is the end result that you're looking at.
Now, essentially, every story is almost like a fantasy, right? But some feel like they have an autobiographical tone. I'm sure you have come across such kind of books and in your own experience, right? And so, where do you draw that line? How do you make it real and not sound too fantasy-like?
See, you know, when I came out with my first book, Bombay Duck, so foolishly I'd based the girl in Amritsar. Okay.
So people thought it was
me to begin with. Right. Then more foolishly, I put her in the film set, and I was doing Om Shanti Om then. Right. And then extremely not foolishly but very knowingly, I based a character on Farah Khan. And then I went and took permission from her. I told her, you know, please read it. And she told me, I will kill you if I don't like it. So, you know, in Bombay Duck, now to answer your question, in Bombay Duck was where I had to do that tight rope walking, because I was in an atmosphere, I was in that AD setup, was shooting a film, have blatantly taken, I've used Shah Rukh as Shah Rukh, I've used Farah, you know, a character based blatantly on Farah. And of course, unfortunately, what happens with a girl, people started thinking that it happened to me, and I had to like, no. And then, you know, my sister's like, who told you to first put her in Amritsar and then make her, you know, do a film, and, you know, what are you thinking? And I'm like, no, but it's not my story. She says, of course, everybody will think it's your story, now deal with it. Okay. But I think, even in those little stupidities that I did, I felt that I was able to walk that rope pretty well, because the characters that I created were fictional. World was very real, because I was right in it. Right. So I thought that was a good balance, and also I needed that reality as a first time writer. You know, the biggest fear that I used to have before my first novel came out was that people will find it fake, that this world doesn't exist. That is one of the biggest fears that I as a writer go through, and I need my world and my characters to be real. So it really helped that I was a part of that world while I was writing it. I needed that support at that point of time. So, so yeah, to answer your question, it also depends on what. Now, with my third book, that was not really, yes, maybe to start off, I needed to be in a home territory. That's why I've again placed her in Gurdaspur. I'm not moving away from Punjab too much. But hereafter, when she takes off, it's an unknown land even for me. Right. And I'm comfortable with that now.
Right. Now, I lost what I was
saying. I made you forget your question. I think I'm very good at that.
It's good. I don't think I've rambled so much in ages. So, yeah, okay. The question was, what's your biggest fear now? You said back then the biggest fear is people might find that world fake.
Fake, yeah.
Right now, third book, what is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear right now is not enough people will get to read it, or not enough people will read it.
Okay.
I want this story. See, fear comes from your desire, the acute desire, and that whole thing that your expectations won't be met, or this is what stems in this case. So, because it is my deep desire that I want this story to reach out to as many people as possible, because like I told you, it's very close to my heart. I think it's very emotional. And also I feel that why I want people to read Durga's journeys, because it is, it's a, how the character is. She's gone through all these emotions and relationships. So I just feel that lots of people will find some resonance or the other, either in emotion or a situation, or and I want them to experience that. So I really, really hope that this book reaches out to as many people as possible. And my biggest fear right now would be not having as many readers as I would want for this particular story.
Right. Okay. Indian writing, it's going places. There are many writers these days. So what do you think of the current situation? Is it a great time to be a author for first timers, or is the competition way too much right now to even get published?
No, I think it's a good time. I think it's a great time. Not only just being an author, but I think we are a young country right now, and we are in a very beautiful phase of creative expression in every field. We have youngsters taking very, like there was a point where people would only be an engineer, doctor, IAS, but now, world is a platter, and you can go and, dream of anything and go and get that. So coming particularly to the publishing industry, I'd say that it's a very good time, because not only, like you said, the market has exploded. There's also another reason that's happened is because in India, compared to the Western world, we have more first-time readers coming in, because there the markets to some extent are exhausted. Right. Here we have an opportunity to draw in more people to reading. They could be reading, they could read e-books, or they could read paperbacks. That's right. A different question altogether. But drawing in first-time readers is a good. It makes a good business sense, and makes sense from the marketing perspective, etc., etc. So the market conditions, I feel, are such that new authors, Indian writers, very good time. And also I feel that the publishing industry is taking Indian authors a little more seriously than they were before. So it's very conducive environment. The factors are all coming together for a good platform for authors. So I would really encourage anyone out there who's thinking of leaving their corporate jobs and wanting to write a book, you should go for it.
Right. Now you're also working on a lot of scripts, and you're married to Prakash, who himself is a very, I don't know how to put it, because he writes so much, right? So what are your conversations like at home? Do you keep discussing a lot of stories?
Well, our conversations range from definitely stories and characters, but we have a regular conversation about food and going out and movies. And we have a lot of arguments, healthy arguments about our take on a movie, which we really enjoy. There's nothing fishy there, huh? I know you're fishing.
I'm not fishing for anything.
but actually, I really enjoy those healthy discussions that we have, and we like to discuss a lot of things. Yes, a lot of our conversation is centered around films, stories, books. But that's the life we chose, and that's what we love. So so if you were to put a bug in a room, you would get a lot of ideas, and a lot of characters, and a lot of discussions, and
Is your idea of life very different from where it comes from, or are you two on the same page in terms of what you talk about or what you think about?
It'll be so boring if we are both on the same page. There'll be no conversation only. He'll be like, "Oh, I think the blue is good." I'll say, "Yeah," and that's it. So no, thankfully we are different enough, to have a good conversation, a debate, a discussion. I have my set of likes and dislikes. He has his own, and a lot of times we don't see eye to eye, which I think is very good and healthy.
Okay.
And I don't know why you're not looking very happy about it.
I'm not looking. I'm curious to know.
You're curious. No, yeah, because but at the core of it, you know, the core of it, we are very similar in our views. Storytelling is a form of self-expression. We both agree to that. Not wanting to tell stories to cater to a particular segment at the cost of stifling your self-expression. We both agreed to that. So at the core, our core values are very, very same, very similar. But the fun is in the disagreement on the other things, which I think is very good, healthy, and keeps us going. So that's the bit on Prakash.
Okay, talking about Prakash, I'm sure a lot of people would be very curious to know, how did you two meet in the first place? You know, where did the story of yours begin from?
Well, you know, he asked me this question before taking the interview.
With her permission.
You know, I can tell you a part of it.
Okay.
Because I forgot to ask Prakash if I should talk about it or not, and we started the interview. But I'll tell you, the thing that stayed with me the most, and I think my friends tell me that's also the reason why, you know, you guys got married, and you know, is that when I started writing in Bombay, I remember I was working for Shah Rukh and in Red Chillies, and I joined as an intern, worked with assisting Farah and this and that, and on the side I would write these stories. And I was a struggling writer then, and very hesitant to show my stories to anyone, very insecure, very fearful of rejection, of judgment. And you know, one day I got a call from a common friend, and she'd read a few of my stories, and you know, you need to really, you're like so needy in that initial phase, at least I was, only give it to people who you know are going to be kind. So I would just share my stories with my friends, who I know are going to be not too harsh, although I'm hoping that it'll be honest. So it is a very messed up state. So she'd read a few of my stories and she thought they were really good. So she was a common friend, and Prakash was looking for a new writer.
Okay.
Like he wanted to work with upcoming new writers. So she recommended my name, and she said, I've read this girl's story, so you know, you should read her stuff and see what you feel. So she called me and she's like, you know, my friend he's a filmmaker, and you know, he's won this national award and he's done this Morning Raga, and you know, we were all like, oh, you know, it's really good and great and prestigious. And then I was like, oh my God, but I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I want to show him what I've written. And you know, there's this whole thing of I almost didn't go. I was like, and he was the first person who I officially met professionally to show my stories as a writer. And I still remember I was sweaty palms, and I while I was like reaching that, we met in Prithvi Theatre actually the first time in Bombay. And literally when I was entering also, I thought, let me go back. So I still remember that first meeting, and that was very, very important in life as well. It was I met him, and he read, and he gave me some fantastic feedback, and he really encouraged me, and he told me that you should write full time. So that was the first professional encouragement, direction, validation that I got from somebody. And in that sense, Prakash is also a mentor, because that relationship actually begun in that manner. It's almost 6 years or 7 years now, I think, to that. And yeah, and then I worked with him over a couple of months, and you know, then we lost touch, and then we got in touch again. So that's how it went. But I thought that in retrospect, I think that then, of course, it was not romantic at all, and I was like, no, who's this guy? Why? I'm going back. But I think in retrospect, I think that is a romantic story for me.
Right.
So yeah, I haven't shared it with too many people. So yeah.
Interesting. One evening at Prithvi Theatre.
One evening at Prithvi Theatre, yes.
Maybe that
you can go hang out there. What? Are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? I'm telling you. Okay.
Right. So you also began writing screenplays and stories for Telugu film now.
Yeah.
Size Zero was your first outing in Telugu.
Yeah.
So how was that experience? Like, did you enjoy it because it was the first time in a Telugu film industry?
See, you know, in Hindi, when I write my screenplays, I'm very particular that I write my own story, screenplay and dialogue. In fact, to the extent that I do not give out my scripts if my dialogues are not done.
Okay.
Because I depend heavily on my language and my dialogues, as I told you. Now, what happens in South is that I don't know the language.
Right.
So I feel, and because as a writer I heavily depend on that language when I'm writing my Hindi stories and screenplay and dialogue, Hindi scripts, I feel that's a handicap that I have.
Okay.
So it did pinch me because Size Zero was written as a Hindi story with Hindi dialogue, and and the USP, as people would tell me, is the dialogue.
Right.
So now when it is translated here, because I don't know the language, I really don't know. I mean, Kiran did a fantastic job, and all the writers did a fantastic job. But it's coming from a very personal space that I feel that I don't know. It's all a little dark.
Right, right.
So for me, that's a little. I need to readjust myself to let go. I need to be okay with the fact, or I need to learn the language pretty fast. So I'm working on it. But I still don't think I'll be able to write Telugu dialogues anytime in the future. But at least know the language enough to be able to understand the tone and the emotion of if what the scenes have I written, what I write, have they been conveyed correctly in the dialogue, because they're married so closely together. So that was my experience from my first outing, that I need to figure out a way to get the language get the language correctly, and yeah, I'm looking forward to writing some more stuff, because I feel the audience here is very interesting, very strong, opinionated audience, very strong likes and dislikes, and very passionate. The passion that I see in South audience is very different from what I see in the Hindi audience. So hence because the passions are so high, you have to be very careful of what is it that you're offering them. Right. So these are a few things that I discovered, and it's been really, really good and beautiful, because I didn't really. Now I'm getting to know the audience a lot more, and it's a different experience for me altogether. Hindi, I've been a part and parcel of the industry for a while, been with studios for almost 6 years, I've been heading their film content business. So seen the business from various sides, as a writer, as a studio person, as a producer. So here it's a completely different industry, and I'm really enjoying getting to know a very different industry.
Now we heard that you're back in Hindi with another script, which Anand Rai is going to produce,
Yeah.
like Man Mirzya, right?
Man Mirzya, yes.
Right. So what space is that script in, that story?
So, in fact, incidentally, I was writing Man Mirzya while I was writing Durga, so I was switching between the two. So, Man Mirzya is a love story on the face of it, but again, all three of my characters question it. It's a romance which questions romance.
It's a romance which questions romance.
Yes,
okay,
it's a love story that questions the concept of love. It's a romance that questions romance. And at this stage, if I say anything, I don't think a lot of people will be happy, because it's just got into production, and it's just got into
right.
shooting and all that. I'm very excited. Bhumi, Ayushman and Vicky Kaushal are playing the key cast, beautiful actors, and I was very scared, if we'll find the right actors to portray these roles, because all three of them are very difficult characters to play. And I found fantastic actors and a great producer. Anand Rai is, everybody wants to work with him right now, and he's just got the pulse of the audience and everything. My director is very interesting. She's just come out with a film, Neel Bhatte Sanata, and she's done a Tamil film also, the same, I think, with Amla. Yeah. So I'm very excited to see her version of my story. So I'm very excited for Man Mirzya, looking forward to it.
Right. So now your third book is up for release on April 28th.
April, yes.
And you're on a multi-city tour, from what I understand. So what's gonna keep you occupied for the next few months?
So,
are you working on something new now?
Yes, absolutely. But I have to finish this 1 month of promotion, and so I'm going to start with Hyderabad. 2nd of May, we are doing the official launch here. 28th April, the book will be in stores, and you can go online and order it.
Okay, we'll do that.
On Amazon. And after that, Chennai is my next stop, and Anushka very graciously has agreed to launch my books. I'm very excited. She's a very dear friend. So she'll be launching the book in Chennai.
Okay.
And I have a launch in Mumbai. I don't know the exact date, but we're working towards that. Then Chandigarh, again my home turf, so I'm quite excited about that. And perhaps Ludhiana. You know, very interestingly, my publishers are very insisting that, you know, we have to go to B towns, and you know, because the readers are increasing there. So that's a very good trend, and I'm very happy to, you know, go to other places. They were mentioning Indore, etc., etc. So I'm looking forward to interacting with different kinds of audiences, readers, and from different cities. So this month, yes, it's all about the Dance of Durga. Okay. And the promotions and talking about the story. So
what do you have you figured out what you're going to write next in terms of a movie script or a book or something?
Yeah, so I've already finished a script. Script wise, I have a script already with a director. UTV had it, so it's going to go on floors very soon. So a month or so. So that's already done. I have another script ready, which is for Prakash. So I've actually done my bit of finishing 2-3 scripts and stories, and now I'm going to start afresh with a new batch. So this batch that is done, I have 2 in Hindi, and yeah, and this book is out. So now I'm going to start. I don't know when will I start writing the book, but yes, the story I'm supposed to. I've been commissioned to write 2 more stories with 2 producers. So I have to finish that first, and then perhaps I'll start the third book. So
it's going to take a while, right?
Yeah, it'll be, I think, another 6 months before I start my next book.
Okay, just one final question. I'm curious to know, is there any idea or a story which you're too scared to revisit? Could be from any point of time in your life.
Actually, I wanted to write about Operation Blue Star.
Okay.
So, because I'm from Amritsar, and I had a very personal experience, although we were very young, but it was that long decade, you know, is something that we've lived very closely as a family, as people, and it's very close to my heart. I want to write about it, but as you know, it's not very easy to first to write about it. Secondly, you know, it's a topic that's not received very well from what I have been told by the authorities or by the government or whatever. Because I remember I approached a publisher with a story around that, and the legal department said that, you know, we'd like to refrain from writing too much about that. So that's something that I would like to write about, a story set in that time of Operation Blue Star, when there was terrorism and a lot of bloodshed and a lot of chaos, and there are lots of tragic stories. I've seen my friends' parents being killed. You know, it was a harrowing time, and people very close to me being affected by terrorism. So it's something that I definitely want to talk about and express, and I'm sure there'll be a right time when I'll be able to do that in the correct manner.
Was it a really tough time to grow up in Punjab during that decade, 80s?
You know, I was very, very young, but I still remember, you know, there were times that, they're just flashes that I have, and of course a lot of emotional distress. I remember that my father for 2-3 days did not come back home, and it was feared that he's been, you know, taken by the terrorists. And not only my own father, but in my family, in my friends, neighbors, when people were not returning home, you didn't know what was happening. Were they stuck somewhere? Were they abducted? So there was a lot of emotional stress. Apart from that, you know, I remember that suddenly one fine day I had these, because I was a little kid, these, I would call them big uncles, but now I remember they're just 17-year-old boys. So 17 to 18 to 19, I had these like 20-30 boys sleeping in my living room. because either they were, that time you don't understand, but later I understood that, you know, there were times when people wanted to send their young boys in hiding because they were being taken from their houses. So any area which was safe, they were on the move. It was a very difficult, harrowing time, and now I understood the depth of it. But at that time when you're there, you know, I was very little, so I just remember from the surface of it. But as I grew up, the intensity of it only increased, not decreased, because I understood what was happening, and because we have suffered the consequences of that firsthand. So everything related to that becomes very personal, like every tragedy or every loss and any kind of atrocity becomes very personal. So yeah, this is something I would want to talk about, write about.
Right. Now, nowadays, a lot of people talk about drugs, you know, in Punjab, and the influence it has.
Terrible, yes.
Is that a Punjab that you grew up in, or?
Not at all. I feel so sad. You know, literally, it's like Punjab is dead. You know, I feel so sad because the statistics say 70%, 80% youth is on drugs, but you do not understand that line till you actually visit that place. You know, you reading it is one thing, but having grown up in a place like Punjab, having such beautiful memories, and now seeing it in this state is heartbreaking. You know, as a line that it says 70% kids in drug, youth in drug, you just read it. But when you actually go there, you realize that every family is broken, is in distress, father figures are gone, they're into drugs, the boys are, you know, completely taken over. There's nobody to, literally the fields are lying empty. Either there's migration happening or they're not fit enough to, you know, do a decent job. Rehabilitation centers are coming up everywhere. It's so sad to see young kids getting into these rehabilitation centers. And, you know, I would definitely blame the government for allowing it to happen. And I'm not mincing words. It cannot happen if the government is not, you know, putting their foot down, and it's just a very sad state of affairs. The drugs are available so easily and freely.
Seriously?
You go to a chemist shop,
right,
and for 5 rupees you'll find tablets that you can take. 5 rupees. So not only is it for the people who are affluent, but drugs that will be available to rural people. So it has cut across social and economic status, and it's being made available to every strata of the society. And I think it's terrible. It's terrible.
Right. All right, Kanika, thank you so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll meet you again soon and talk more about the book.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Before we leave, any final words to our iDream viewers about yourself, with the book? You can actually hold the book.
Okay, he's allowed me to hold the book, so I can hold the book and show it to you all. Well, there's only one thing I would like to say to everyone who's watching this. I feel that a lot of us have a lot of dreams and aspirations, and a lot of self-doubt that, you know, and there are so many people telling you that you can't do this, or you can't follow your dream, or you can't follow your aspiration because of X, Y, and Z. I just want to tell you that this is something that I've dreamt of since I was a little girl, holding my own book in my hand and, you know, offering it to my readers. I just want to tell everyone out there who has a dream, who has a desire, that give it your all. And for every one person who says that this can't be done, you prove them wrong, because that will make it worth it. Even if it takes your entire life to prove them wrong, I think it's your journey, and you have to, it's your responsibility to protect your dreams, it's your responsibility to achieve them, and it's your responsibility to work hard towards them. So this is what I wanted, and I have it, and I would want all of you out there to just go for whatever it is that you want, and I'm sure the universe will come together to make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks once again.
Thank you so much.